using a hands-on approach in this 2-day workshop at Akaku, Friday, August 9th and Saturday, August 10th. To register, visit akaku.org or call 871-5554.
Maui's free speech station. KAKU 88.5 FM, Kahului, Maui. The voice of Maui.
The Neutral Zone, with me, Jason Schwartz, would like to thank Maui Arts and Music Association, Treemakers Foundation of Maui, for their support. Since 1991, with hundreds of television shows and their MauiArtsAndMusic.com website, they have championed self-sustainability on Maui. The Neutral Zone is heard live Mondays at 11 a.m. and replayed Saturday at 7 a.m. on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui. Good morning, everyone. It's 11 o'clock. It's the Neutral Zone. Welcome to our show, July 2019. How amazing. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many men sold away. And I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and faith. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands and sealed his face. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. But what puzzling you is the nature of my game. Good morning, everyone. Aloha. This is Jason Schwartz. It's July 1st, 2019. And I have a very special guest. You know, when you have a guest, you just love them and you realize you didn't have enough. I could not stay away. I invited Jim Loomis back to our show. Jim, welcome back to our show. Jim Loomis is a legend to many, but he is a real down-to-earth guy. His book, the most recent book, entitled, what's the title?
Saving the Cosmos Till Tuesday.
Saving the Cosmos Till Tuesday. That means we're going to have to pick it up, all of us. And Jim has an incredible life and has had an incredible career, both informal career and informal self-developed career. As I guess I just was outside with our old film commissioner, Harry Donenfeld, who's now taking, I want to call it an underwater motorcycle. I guess it's really interesting. But swimming with the dolphins and the whales, you've been doing that for years. And I like to think that all the things that we now know and love and enjoy, you were there right at the beginning, at the cutting edge. I was looking at a text, I want to say banter between you and I from these past few days, and just seeing the way you reached, Jim. Jump in and cut me off because I know I could just keep talking about you. Jim Loomis is a fantastic guy. And how long have you been a fantastic guy? As long as you can remember, huh?
I think I was super lucky to be living in Long Beach, California, right when a number one hip parade song came out. 26 miles across the sea. Santa Catalina is waiting for me. Santa Catalina, island of romance.
Romance.
So row. So why not row over there and become a nature boy that at that time could salvage anchors that had been lost in storms, and pre-scuba could dive to 108 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
You looked like, I was going to say Tarzan, but more like Steve Reeves. You really were, still are, but you were really built like a Superman.
Yes, I know what you mean. I found that my body was would respond to my thought.
Wow.
And I could flex and have my muscles respond by growing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in your book, you have pictures that display different places in your life, and each one is more amazing than the last.
Yeah.
So you were rowing back and forth between Long Beach and Catalina.
Yes.
And picking up anchors and doing deep sea diving.
Yes.
And how did you get involved with dolphins and whales? Where did that come? Was there? Too?
Yeah. I think that... do you remember the Palos Verdes little glass church?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, no, it's just about a half a mile away from SeaWorld.
SeaWorld?
Yes, and I went to that church, and then I went to SeaWorld, and they had an exhibit there where you have dolphins speaking like humans, and I didn't believe it, and so I just ran downstairs to see if this is a put-up job or is this real. Can dolphins really imitate human voices? And I met the trainer. His name was Chuck Loomis like mine, and I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be a lifetime thing. Because I think that if man could speak with another animal, that it would change man's nature very much. Like
another of your compatriots at the time, I don't know where you met him, was John Lilly. Did you meet John Lilly way back then?
Yes, when I got into the dolphins, which was normal when you're rowing to Catalina Island, and every day there was a school of terciops that would come through the bay, leaping and having a great time. And I happened to be there when the last time America was sponsoring an international spearfishing contest, because they were realizing that they were wiping out all the old timers everywhere that they went. So I was there when there were other people from around the world diving in 100 feet like me, and I saw the dolphins respond in a way I'd never seen before. They just coasted and looked. And I thought, okay, then I'm going to remember this. This is going to be part of my life. Wow. And they would often just join me and spiral upwards, like with the seals. They also would do the same.
Did they speak human? Did you hear them speaking like humans?
No, I haven't had that experience.
So they were just expressing it in the SeaWorld that's what they were.
Yeah, I don't know what the reality of that was, but it did get me on then. And then I started appearing in John Lilly's books, and we had a realization that we're both JCLs, and that if you assign a number to those letters, A is 1, B is 2, and C is 3, and so forth, that and you multiply them, you get 360, which was kind of just like
he was John C. Lilly, and you were
James Cook Loomis.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had that JCL thing going, and I was always interested in creating a font that we could start communicating with the dolphins. And I'm in his book called The Possibility of Communicating with Other Species. And I felt like that man is lonely, and that if we could just speak with another creature, especially the only creature that seeks us out to play, all the other creatures run away when they see a human.
We heard a story this morning that was an eye-opener.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
About Harry talking about his experience where Secor, about the manta ray.
Yes.
That's look him in the eyes.
Look him in the eyes. Yeah, and that's what you find yourself doing with the dolphins and the whales, that they look right back at you, and we're discovering now that they are our cousins that went back to the sea, having been a land creature earlier.
Oh, they went back to the sea from the land.
Yeah.
I see. Huh?
Yeah.
So when you were writing this book, and you had explained the last time that you had a health challenge and your family said, look at all these incredible writings. We're going to have to gather some of these up. So this is book one. I'm sure there's going to be a book two at some point, possibly?
Yes. I did. I won the Maui Writers Contest with a book in 1994 called Strange Fluke. And
is it a fiction or nonfiction?
It's a non-fiction. It's just following me around the world as I try to save the world.
By Tuesday.
Yeah.
Until Tuesday.
Yeah.
Not by Tuesday. I think it's a constant saving, isn't it? It's the kind of thing until we all kind of get it.
Yeah. Well, just like the front page of the Maui News this morning talked about the UN saying we're not going fast enough for the Paris Accords, and the book that came out in '80 was called let's see, right now.
Oh, it was in 1980. It was about population bomb.
Yes.
Or future shock. All these kind of. I don't know which one it might have been.
Yes.
But they were all foretelling what's going to happen. 1 and 2 generations more with the exploding population. And
yes. And
how come we heard it but didn't act? What's that from?
I didn't quite get what.
When we all read about what is over the horizon, future visionaries like you, but these guys were like Toffler, and some of them talking about what's happening in our world and where it's going. And before we get to that precipice of challenge, that we can do A and B and C and progress in a responsible, holistic, save the world kind of scenario.
Yeah.
That hasn't been the general rule, has it?
It sure hasn't been. Yeah, we get very comfortable with our lifestyles, and it's hard to imagine people going back.
You mentioned 1994. The reason that one just jumped in my brain, in 1994, I was the Green Party candidate for mayor of Maui.
Were you?
I was, and I thought, isn't that interesting? I was always then talking about promoting art and music and culture and educating people about environmental solutions, and have Maui be a model for the world of the most remote landmass being self-sustainable.
Yes.
And somehow, instead of going this right way, they went the left way.
Yeah.
And now they're crying about overpopulation, overcapacity, and again, this imbalance that happens from money and selfish interests.
Yes.
But you didn't go that way, did you? What made you suddenly decide, I'm gonna go to Hawaii? What was that?
Well, I think that when that book came out in 56, I think, called The Outsider by Colin Wilson, I could see that the world was going downhill really fast at that time, and I thought that I would be an outsider, and see, you could see that it's easy to make a living and it's easy to make money, but it might be much harder to make a difference, and so I chose that path to remain free. So if anybody needed help saving an animal, I'd be ready to just put on my hat or my shoes and go. And,
well, what were you doing before that? I mean, when we speak and you tell me about some of these things like an artificial intelligence conference that you were at with, I want to say, the who's who of world-renowned people.
Yes.
You were mentioning in your email, I mean, the names were jumping off to me. I'm thinking, my goodness, did he say that? Yes, he did. Michigan, let me think if I got it. The 3 M's, Michigan, Milan, and Moscow. I was at Ann Arbor in the Michigan Mental Health Research Institute in conflict resolution with the United Nations top floor research assistant, and Merrill Flood, and Robert Oppenheimer, and Buckminster Fuller. Well, that's an interesting group.
I know, yeah.
And what were you doing there? What was the vision?
Well, with Buckminster Fuller, I was. He came to the Long Beach City State College for 2 weeks in the art department, and we became close friends. And during that time, I promised him he had made the claims that in terms of cosmic costing, that the price of a gallon of gas in terms of the pressure and temperature and time would be $1 million. And I told him I was going to write a book that's going to drop out 1,000 people that are not going to spend that are not going to buy 1,000 gallons of gas. So that million times 1,000 times 1,000 would make me a cosmic guardian trillionaire, and that was my pay. That I felt that that's what I'd be doing. And
with all this advanced vision that you had, that a Bucky Fuller might have, and where was the ball dropped? What do you think you saw? I mean, people were listening to all this research and hearing about new ways to build things with a dome from Bucky, or you were talking about an artificial intelligence. What were you searching for? Creation of human intelligence, or to talk with other? What was the reason that all happened? You know?
So Silicon came along, and I took the first course in programming at Long Beach State College, and during that time I realized that we are carbon robots, and every living thing is, and I didn't think that humans could handle that realization, feeling that their free will was genuinely free. And so after I graduated with my BS in math, I got picked up immediately by North American Aviation, and to be a systems programmer, and I did that for a while. Wrote a program called, of all things, Delete, so that if they were running a tape with 10 problems on it, submitted by different aeronautical engineers and so forth, that all of a sudden there would be about 10 of them in a batch. But if somebody realized that they had made an error and they'd like to not have it run and be charged for it, they didn't have a way to get rid of that program, and so I wrote that program, delete, so they could. But and then I was offered a job in robotics there, too, and
these are way back when these were new sciences.
New sciences, 1958.
Wow.
And so they asked me to come back and teach in the math department and go for the first masters in math that they had that they were going to give. And so I did that, and during that time you do feel like when you have a BS in math, you feel like you can solve any problem that you can be asked about. But then you go into the master's program, and for the advanced calculus book on the masters, there was a poem written by the author of the book, was Clarence Wiley, and he called it Paradox. And this kind of changed my life, deepened my understanding of what math was. And it's called Paradox, and it opens with these few words: not truth nor certainty. These I forswore in my novitiate as young men called to holy orders abjure the world. If, then, this only I assert, and my successes are but pretty chains linking twin doubts, for it is vain to ask if what I postulate be justified, or what I prove possess the stamp of fact. Yet bridges stand, and men no longer crawl in 2 dimensions, and such triumphs stem in no small measure from the power this game, played with the thrice attenuated shades of things, has over their originals. How frail the wand, yet how profound the spell. And that's pretty much what characterized the master's program. Is now you know how to solve anything involving numbers. Well, we're living numbers behind, and we're going into higher reasoning that is shockingly abstract.
How does that, or how can that be related by the average person? I mean, what you just stated eloquently, I mean, I have some words in there like abjure. I thought, what?
Yeah, abjure, like when you give something up, like young men giving up the world if they're going to be a spiritual person in terms of a normal idea of spirituality.
Like you said, you're outsider. I mean, it was all coming at you at the same time, and you were kind of looking at what was going on and comparing what is to what could be, and theoretical, and seeing a different path.
Yes.
So you really didn't give up. You came out to be participator in the helping part, in the example of what could be.
Yeah.
That's how I think of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that you had Brian and Billy Whitman. And Rico came out, and I think I said it last show. It's like you formed the basics of a community that was just sort of opening the doors in the new age in America, and we're sort of a great living example of someone who's living an alternative to mainstream lifestyle, but fully living in just what really that, I mean, I can't even imagine. It was like when you found that piece of land out there, and you, I love your story about that. You grew this tree, and then you built your house in it, and it looked like a boat. You created it probably to be that way.
Yes.
And it was a Bodhi tree. I mean,
The Bodhi tree.
that was a fantastic place.
Yes. Yes.
So the county came in and said, "Oh, is that what happened?"
Yeah. Yeah. The county came in, didn't look like that I'm living up in a tree, and
But you grew that tree, right?
yeah.
And you put things in the tree, but they didn't like that somehow it was very self-sustaining and
Yeah.
nurturing. It was
Yes.
a wonderful place.
Yes.
And then that whole property out there and all of Walo, when we look at it now, we look at it and we think, my goodness, there were so many open spaces. Now they're all filled in with these different kinds of... There's still some alternative living out there, but there sure seems to be a lot of gentlemen and gentlewomen estates, and a very different world has kind of... Money has come in and said, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. And when I was out in Walo in the early, mid-'90s, I guess about when I was meeting you, in the 90s there, you know, it was really open space, and I thought, this is a place that will never fill in. You know, it's like the world is never going to take this beautiful remote area and start filling it in like the mainland, or like even like Kahului and Wailuku. But somehow it has, hasn't it?
Yes, you run from bureaucracy, but in beautiful places like this, they catch up. And where you could build a very nice little house for yourself, they're much more interested in you building $1 million place for the taxes that they can levy. Mm-hmm. And so that's
I'm just looking at the clock.
okay.
I'm here with Jim Loomis, and we're here on the Neutral Zone. We're going to take a break for our sponsors, and then we're going to come back, okay? Does that sound good to you, Jim?
That sounds great. Thanks.
Hang on, you guys. The Neutral Zone with me, Jason Schwartz, would like to sincerely thank David Bryan for his support. David was founder and head of school at New Road School in Santa Monica, California, and is the board chair at the Ojai Foundation and on the board for Brave New Films. The Neutral Zone is heard live Mondays at 11 a.m. here on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, and again on Saturdays at 7 a.m., as well as on TV and on MauiNeutralZone.com.
Want to host your own radio talk show? You can. Once every month, KAKU 88.5 FM offers an introduction to radio class at Akaku Plaza at 333 Dairy Road in Kahului. This introduction to radio will get your feet wet and show you what you need to do to get started. Interested? Call us at 871-5554 for more information and registration.
Aloha, this is Bill Best inviting you to join me for my show on KAKU 88.5 FM. It's Off the Record, and I have a chance to speak with some of the most interesting people on and off the island. So be sure to listen in every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 until noon here on KAKU, the voice of Maui, 88.5 FM.
Do you have a non-profit event coming up that you would like the public to know about? Is there an important social issue for which you'd like to raise awareness? Akaku can help you get the word out. You can come in and record a 1-minute public service announcement for the subject of your choice at no cost to you. Slots are available Mondays and Wednesdays between 1 and 3. Remember, it's free, so call 871-5554 and reserve your spot today.
Hi, I'm Jason Schwartz, host of The Neutral Zone. KAKU is a listener-supported station. This means that all of the great programs you hear, like mine, are sponsored by you as well as our underwriters. If you would like to help keep the voice of Maui talking loud and clear, go to kakufm.org/donate today and give. And don't miss The Neutral Zone Mondays at 11 a.m. on 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui.
Between us.
Well, we are back. I'm with Jim Loomis here on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, heard everywhere you can reach from the top of this building, but you can also go on the net, tune in, which is on one of your programs on your phones. You can pick KAKU and select it and tune in. You can go to MauiNeutralZone.com and find this show and other shows. You can go to Facebook Live when it's live, like now, and find it at KAKU on Facebook. Some people don't have Facebook. You can also go on YouTube and find it. Look up Jim Loomis, Jason Schwartz, Neutral Zone, and up it pops. And we are having a fun conversation. I guess it's fun. I was looking at this picture that you were holding up here, Jim. Now, let's show it to the camera. Let's see if we go.
Yes.
Now who did that one? That was
John Severson. John Severson created Surfer Magazine, and he did the great early surf films that all the kids around the world fell in love with. And we took his Boston Whaler over to my land in Pelakunu Valleys on the north shore of Molokai.
right.
And it's a very unusual place, very beautiful bay.
Pelakunu just happens to be one place I know.
Oh, really?
My ex-wife was talking about a lady that was trying to get her kids to come out and be there on the land, but they didn't want to be there because it was so remote. And she flew me through with a drone into Pelakunu Valley and then down to the water. So,
oh, really? Yeah.
So you had a house there? Nothing like this? This was a...
No.
That looks more like a Bodhi tree there.
It's kind of looking like a Bodhi tree, huh?
Well, it's a tree.
This is when we got back from Pelakunu, John had painted this, and it took him 2 days, and he gave it to me. So this is an original of John Severson, and I think it's
really nice.
It's very, very much like John Lennon's thing of imagine no religions, imagine no possessions, imagine no countries. None of those things are showing there, so I think it's kind of going to be a...
Well, and that's on the cover of your first book there.
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be a little
great.
Flag of the future.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Is that you, a representation for
Yes,
you?
that's his cartoon character of me. And how's that for a beautiful little...
It really is beautiful.
Little lady. Yeah, it should be nice to come back to. As long as you've got a pink butterfly in one hand and a bunch of red flowers in the other. Boy, something like that.
That is really beautiful. Well,
yeah.
I remember seeing it on the cover of the book and remembering just how memorable it is. So now I'm seeing it. It really stands by itself. That's terrific.
Yeah, John got his master's in art from the same university I was at.
Wow.
We didn't know each other there, but we came to know one another in 1970, and he was my best friend all those years, and unfortunately has died, but has left things like this.
Wow.
That are inspiring. I think this is probably how the Hawaiians were able to live without poisoning anything, having a sustainable lifestyle for 1,000 years, and we have not, and so this
We
is
have
kind of
not
a
followed in their footsteps. You
Yeah.
have. I mean, I really am. When I first remember coming out to Walo there and seeing your property, I don't know what year it was, but I remember it clearly because probably 93, 92 maybe. I came out there, and when was Zen 1 year old? That's when it was.
Oh, it was perfect. Yes, he's just about to recreate that scene when he
So
was
that was
1
like
year.
93, maybe, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
I came out, and it's the first time I took a camera out from Akaku
Okay.
TV here. And my first thing I remember that I videotaped was you holding out a bowl of star fruit to welcome me. And in the opening credits of our TV show that we had for 20 years, Mama Presents, that's you presenting. And it was always a really great memory, and a lot of people have asked, who is that guy?
Yeah,
This is that guy, Jim Loomis.
yeah.
Well, you know, I've had so many. There was a water tank that I saw you guys put together. I videotaped as a show here.
Oh,
the
you
building of a water tank. Remember that
yes,
experience?
sure.
That was a fantastic community experience.
Yeah. Yes,
That community out there always felt like it was a community. It did things together. It was very loving. I think of you as the leader of the pack.
Yeah, I can see that. The old guy that fell in love with nature. I was very fortunate in that I had a friend that would go out to a nature boy colony that surrounded Palm Springs, and the guy that wrote Nature Boy would always be there, Eden Abez, and he had a uke, and he showed me how to play it, and so I became a nature boy, just being around this group of really unusual guys, and so I kind of sang that all around the world, wherever I was going. I'm kind of reminding people that nature is wonderful, and
how does that go with all the other? When I think about the mathematics and I think about your explorations into all that, I'm always coming to that point of wondering why people haven't embraced that forward, progressive thinking. What do you think it is? Do you have any reason or understanding of what's going on with our humans?
Well, I think we come from violent chimpanzees, and that hunt in packs, and when they divide up, because you have to enlarge your hunting territory, they are equally willing to kill their neighbor of just a few days ago before you broke up into a different pack, and so we're a violent ape. The males are, and most of my thinking goes towards trying to get us into grandmother governance that I call Gigi, and I'm trying to make that happen.
So does that go along with the women's movement? Is that part of that whole thinking process? I remember when you were studying the bonobos.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Maybe you can mention something about that and how that was a different kind of culture.
Yeah, I think the bonobos are on one side of the Zari River in Africa.
And are they chimpanzees, or they're just a different?
They're a different kind of ape.
Okay.
One of the great apes, and they're vegetarians and they're matriarchal, and we aren't.
And that society, was it seen to be flourishing in a very different way? Yes,
and but we're getting rid of pretty much all the forms of life. Everything is going down under our command, because people are out there shooting what they want, what they need for feeding their
a possible
family.
Transition? I mean, we hear people talking about it. I don't know if they understand it or appreciate it, the depth of what you're putting out, that you've seen successful matriarchal communities that are just radically different.
Yeah, and we were doing pretty good where those early books were suggesting that we probably shouldn't be going back 2 billion people on Earth without wiping out the other species. We have, and we're on the way to eliminating another million, says the UN. And it's just heartbreaking to see that what we're delivering to our grandchildren.
Does the UN talk about any changes that they're helping bring about to change that, to make it better?
Yeah, well, it's front page of my news today had the man from the Paris Accords saying we're not going to make it at this rate, and that came through the UN, that we're not going to make it unless we change something. And so this is the last generation that can change things, and this is why we're seeing now an uproar in a lot of areas.
Well, I think it's people like you and me, I'm putting myself in the boat here, talking the same thing. Because I've been always talking about this cooperation in a way of promoting art and music and culture.
Yeah.
And being able to show by active examples how to cooperate on a remote island. Same idea.
Yeah.
And to me, is like, how do we show it? Do you have any community that you can spot that you would use as an example? I know there was a gentleman, I'd say he was on my show. We did a show in, I think it was 96, with Paulo Lugari, who started a community in Colombia, South America called Gaviotas.
Huh.
It was in the middle of the barren rainforest, like a barren plain next to a rainforest. Out in the plain where nothing would grow, they started planting maritime pine trees that were sterile, that grew up, that then created a cover for the land and brought the land back and nurtured and created a fully biodiverse rainforest, brought back animals, plants.
Yeah.
They're still doing it, but we don't hear about it. Any current examples anywhere? Does the world of the United Nations, they declared them the first example of a self-sustainability model in the world. This was 1976. That's 40, God knows, years ago. It's like, what is it going to take? Now the UN saying we're not making it, that's 40 years after that.
Uh-huh.
What do you think it's going to take? Do you think we still got a chance?
I'm acting like we do, but nobody knows, of course.
That was well said. Acting like we do. We can't really give up, can we? It's not in our nature to give it up. What do we do then?
Yes, well, the fact that we have done, well, in the paper yesterday, it had an example of 3-story floating gardens, and things like that are beginning to happen, and to
You mean out on the ocean?
yes, and rivers and things like that, close to people. So.
Well, I would think that you once showed me, I don't remember the exact dimensions, was maybe a 15 by 20 foot plot, maybe less, that could help feed a family, your own family of 4. I remember it was probably 20 years ago where you shared with me.
Yes, when I first came over in 1969 to see what was happening on Kauai at Taylor Camp,
Right.
where they had a lot of tree houses, and Elizabeth Taylor's brother had 7 acres there on the sea. I came right back from that and started my own little community here on now it's called Loomis Road out in Huelo, and the things like you filmed the creation of a water tank. My daughter was doing that,
Right.
and I ran into a very sophisticated woman that said that was the first show she saw when she came to Maui, and she just loved it. That they were passing a joint around and working together, and
It was a fantastic experience.
it was.
I mean, as I was there, I couldn't help but feel so much love in that community. Everyone worked together to put that tank together. It was a fantastic experience. And
Well-
you were, like I say, I don't want to separate you and call you a mascot, but you were really, to me, the driving force. You were like, everyone kind of recognized your leadership in just bringing joy and love to that community. And that's why I always like to say that you really were the father of the development of the New Age community on Maui, a progressive, open-minded, and responsible group that's still there in many ways, and it's now spread out.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
You are welcome. It has been a lot of fun to be that close to nature and waterfalls and palm trees and green everything, and walking to the sea when you can hear the big waves smashing into the cliffs, and going out there to see furrowed seas coming in from the northwest, and knowing that a few coves down, Jaws is going off full time, and people are putting in their jet skis and their surfboards from Maliko Valley and heading out, and just a wonderful time to be alive in this time when so many new things are happening.
And now, like you say, this may be the last generation that has a chance to save this.
Yeah.
To save this world as we know it.
Yeah.
And we've been blessed here on Maui to have that kind of environment. Whenever I look at the mainland, I cringe. I was going to say a little, but I cringe a lot. I've been working on a television set. Not on a television set, a television production in West Maui for a second season of Temptation Island. That's a story by itself. And I mentioned to them that I do shows here with few cameras and less. They are so into the fact that I can do it simply. They have hundreds of people, but here we learn on this small island to do a lot of everything. So it was really a great example of self-sustainability to me, and realizing we can do TV shows and not have to do the giant production. It's really fun, by the way. But they crave this. They go out and see a little bit of nature. They're so thankful. And we're so thankful to have it here, but we really are. We're pushing our limits. The reefs are getting attacked. We're building out, and I don't even know what to say. I'm just hoping that people see our example and want to duplicate it and want to be moving in that direction. I keep thinking that the young people are our hope for the future. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and then let them lead the way.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're at that place.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for it. Like you say, we don't know if we have enough time, but we sure want to act like we do, so we will keep doing and be honoring this place in a way that it really needs leadership in that direction. Our president, there's a whole regime that seems like money and the direction of money has kind of replaced right and wrong as a template for the way things are, and how things can be better through science rather than through the cultivation of a genuine caring. How do you sit and talk with a dolphin or a manta ray? You look them in the eyes.
Okay.
How do we each deal with each other rather than fighting? Look each other in the eyes.
Yeah.
Touch each other's heart.
I was sent a little blog yesterday that I think it's the best lecture, like about an hour long, that I've ever heard. It's by Tom Chi, like CHI.
I looked up, I put into Google.
Okay.
Facebook, Tom Chi, and you gave me some title, I forgot. And up it came, and they had I downloaded a transcript and read it. I haven't watched. Was the presentation?
Okay.
It was worth listening to, huh?
Oh boy.
His delivery?
Yes. Yeah, it starts with the heart, and then it goes to the breath, and it goes to the brain, and it's making the point everything is connected. Here's how. Aren't those wonderful words? Yeah. Everything is connected. 3 words. Here's how. 2 words. 5 words.
Yeah.
And he really, I've never heard a lecture that potent in all my life. So I'm recommending that one to everybody.
Yeah. I think it was easy to find, and you'll see it. Tom Chi, and it was really something. Thank you for sending that to me.
Yeah.
I think about you. More than anything, I think of you as an example. But you're doing stuff now, still, right? You're still involved in uniting the species. In fact, isn't that your website?
Yes. Well, I became involved in a situation that I'm trying to correct. That in 1994, I was selected to be in the Who's Who in America, and then up came the millennia, Who's Who in America, no, Who's Who in the world for the millennia, and they wanted to know what I was up to, and I told them at that time it was called Fawana something, Haas, but which meant flags of all nations, and the UN honoring all species. So the idea was that I was going to get the synchronized swimmers that started in 1984 in LA, the Olympic swimmers, to perform this this underwater parade, and it was going to be involving all of their the flags of their countries, and unite civilizations at the end. And so I entered a contest. There was agreement how wonderful it was to have over a billion people in one day watch things like Farm Aid and Live Aid, thinking that this is going to connect up the world. And so a guy named part of the loss of my memory is
That's all right.
Anyway. So this gentleman, through a contest, he'd been part of those earlier performances, and he was going to set the new record for the most watched TV in 24 hours. And so he sponsored a contest in which at that point 38 countries had said yes to, and there were going to be a 24-hour show of how people welcomed the new millennia, the new 1,000 years, and so he sponsored a contest on Maui that after 3 tries, I won all 3 and was selected for what I was calling the United Species Underwater Parade, Uniting Civilizations.
We are running out of time. You're going to have to come back again, Jim. We are here with less than 30 seconds left. Isn't that amazing how we can chew up an hour? You're such a brilliant and gifted guy. Thank you for all that you give us, Jim. I appreciate you, and I know our audience does, and I hope you'll come back again.
I'd be happy to.
I want to thank you all for listening. We are out of time, but we will see you next week on the Neutral Zone. It's anything but neutral. Jim Loomis, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Jason.
Aloha. The Neutral Zone, with me, Jason Schwartz, would like to thank